Hello and welcome to the walk-off, everybody. This is a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday afternoon, on a Wednesday afternoon. Some power outages yesterday in Adam's neck of the woods, so we had to bump this one day. By the way, if you are interested in a breakdown of where the 2025 Blue Jays are to this point, we had the lovely Jen Smith, Baseball Jen, on yesterday. That episode is out right now and you can check out. Now, of course, I released it at 8 a.m. today, which is hilarious because we didn't get a chance to talk about the drumming that the Blue Jays were handed by the Phillies yesterday. We came in full of positivity. Well, that might be argued, but we were definitely more positive than after an 8-3 loss. And Bowden Francis is kind of coming apart at the seams here a little bit. So these are his last 12 outings of 2024. He had a 1.75 ERA. First 12 outings of 2025, a 5.84 ERA. And it gets worse if you start to look at his last 7 starts, in which case his ERA is 8.
You
So
got David Schneider.
we may have been Davis Schneidered here. I haven't lost all hope in Bowden Francis, although
Okay.
he needs to do some serious adjusting. He is struggling to get the fastball inside. He's struggling to land any pitches inside. And if you eliminate a swath of the plate like that, guys can really dial in on those outside pitches, right? And that's what's happened. And that's why he's giving up long balls, is that guys are walking because he's missing his spots. He's not coming inside, so he's playing with just the outside of that plate, and then he's missing his spot, getting guys on, winds up coming closer to the middle, and guys are just hammering it out of the park. Saw it again last night. So what is the answer? It's probably to send him down to AAA and get him right. Unfortunately for the Blue Jays, who the hell do you put in this rotation? So a lot of questions after yesterday's game. We are going to get to as many of your questions and comments from the last week as we can here. We are on a bit of a time crunch, so we're just going to dive in. Keep in mind, you can always reach out to us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, Blue Sky, the Walk Off Podcast, Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And if you must absolutely get those in and get your question read, the Patreon bump exists for a reason. $4 a month, and you automatically get in the mailbag. You also get instant access to all of our interviews and uncut, unedited, full preambles of all of our regular shows, as well as bonus content from MLB Mondays. All right.
Hey, long shot here. I'm playing in a ball tournament in Devon this weekend, and we had some last minute injuries. So last night I got a text from the team manager asking, like I play on a few ball teams, and I brought out some spares a time or two. All of my other teams are also in different tournaments. It's tournament season,
Yeah.
right? We got people in Red Deer, we got people in Sherwood Park, Fort Sask. I'm in Devon this weekend and we're short. So long shot. But if you're a listener in the Edmonton area and you want to play slow pitch with me this weekend, reach out because we need someone.
Never forget, folks.
We need a
Devin.
guy and a girl. So this is non-discriminatory.
Ooh,
Guy or
okay.
girl. I don't even care if you're good. We need a warm body of either gender. Come on out. Reach out. We need
Play
people.
some ball in Devon. Devon is a place on earth.
Yeah. It's about 20 minutes south of Edmonton. So if
Yeah.
you're willing to travel, I do not want to give you a ride, but I will meet you at the field.
I like
We'll
that you
share a
didn't
beer.
acknowledge that pun. You just moved right on. You're like, all right, Scott.
Devon is a which pun? What did I miss?
Oh, Devon is a place on earth. Like heaven is a place on earth. Remember the
Oh,
song?
that's a stretch, man.
Okay. You think that's a
Wow.
stretch? I thought it was pretty
Yes,
good.
that's a stretch. Oh my God. I hope Brian's listening to this episode. Brian is on my slow pitch team. He's been tuning in. I told him about the pod. I said, we're not good baseball coverage, but the banter is elite.
Right.
And then he started tuning in right when you were away and then I
Right.
was away. And he only saw solo episodes.
And he's like, the
And he's like,
banter's
oh yeah,
horrible.
that banter. So he's been busting my balls. Devon is a place on earth. This is great banter. Brian will be thrilled with this one, okay? If we haven't lost him by now.
Okay, let's
All right.
dive in to the questions and comments here. We're starting with Patreon. This one is from Let's Get Gaming. He goes, "Wow, what a series against the A's. Unfortunately, it was just them playing golf against AAA pitching. Philly will be the real test. Do you boys think that this potentially could be what the Jays are offensively? Also, is it too early to pull the plug on Hoffman on closing?" So, let's start with the Hoffman part because I don't think it's too late for that. I just think that they need to wait for Jimmy Garcia to get off the IL before doing that. Yariel Rodriguez has taken some major steps forward here since landing in the pen in early April here. I mean, his ERA is under 2, his whip is hovering right around 1, and he has been dominant. Ks are up. So, is there a world where this may become a closer by committee going with the best matchups? Yes, because wins are necessary. And you absolutely cannot mess around right now, especially with how tight this glob in the middle is that the Blue Jays have found themselves in. And it's funny because there are some comments. There was a guy who commented that he was like, this team's going to finish 76 and 86. And I don't know, Adam. Is it wrong to say that that feels like a glass half full take? I think that this team, if they do miss the playoffs, it's going to be barely. It's going to be far more painful, and we probably will miss our opportunity to decide for sure whether this is a seller or a buyer, which is a very negative take, right? It's weird to frame them just being a
Mm-hmm.
shitty losing team as a glass half full, but it kind of is because it forces their hand, and they actually get to make a solid decision in July as to what this organization is doing. And the way the Blue Jays have played, I mean, we keep making this reference, but one step forward, one step back. They don't move. They don't move forward. They don't move back. It's just a sweep here, a sweep there. And whether it's a sweep for the good guys or a sweep for the bad guys, they seem to alternate them. So I don't know, man. This team is really hard to get a pulse on. Do you think the Phillies?
Is a good barometer of what we are.
Mhm.
I mean, yes and no, right? Because the Phillies are a great team.
Mhm.
So are the Padres, right? Like, so there is context to every matchup you have. By the way, I don't know what's going on with this little fucking piece of hair. I want to give myself a haircut right now, mid-episode. This is driving me nuts. Um, anyways, the
Well, we
you can catch
appreciate
it.
your self-restraint.
You can get all right. Episode ain't over yet, so I'm still glancing around here for scissors. Um, you can catch a good team at a bad time and make yourself think you're better than you are,
Hmm.
and
A
you can
bad
be a
team at a
good
good time. Yeah.
and you can be a good team who, you know what, we're facing their top three of their rotation and they're facing the bottom three of ours, and just the way the schedule worked out and everything like that, you know. Yeah, so I mean, like, it is a good test, but it is also like just like any series, right? You sweep the A's, you don't get too. I mean, yeah, you get too high on it, but you don't get too low on it either. Like, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. You know, we're gonna get spanked, and then we're gonna go into Dodger Stadium and sweep the Dodgers just because they're
Yeah.
injured and they just lost Mookie and whatever. Like, there's gonna be those weird things, and it doesn't mean. I mean, enjoy it,
Hmm.
rub it in the face of your buddies, but
Do you think that
yeah.
this increase in offense is legit? By the way, I'm also not saying do you think that this team, I know that they scored 60 runs over their 6 games before last night. I'm not asking you if they're going to score 10 runs a game. But do you think that the life we're seeing in this offense is for real? Do you think that we're taking a step forward, or turning the corner, if you will?
Well, I mean, we did cut the wart off, so to speak, by placing Anthony Santander on the IL.
Hmm.
It's funny how that timing worked out. Remove the ice pack and the sandwich heated up. It I don't know.
That's a great
It's
food reference. I mean, it's a little
thanks.
muddy, but it's well
You know what?
placed.
It remains to be seen. Is this a sandwich that you want heated up, right? Like, is
Yeah.
this a smoked Montreal meat sandwich or is this an egg salad sandwich? And you're like, oh, it's warmer, but it's not better.
Yes.
Um, I, I don't like where this is going. Point is, yeah, Phillies is gonna be a good test, but I wouldn't. This isn't gonna be make or break come trade deadline. This isn't gonna be. It's just another series, which is such a not a fun answer to give, but
hmm
that's where I feel.
How concerned are you with Bowden Francis?
Oh, like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, okay. I'm kind of getting that reaching that point too where I'm like
Like,
I'm not declaring emergency yet, but we are starting to touch that because let's face it, we literally have four starters and they have just been I mean, Easton Lucas gave us a little bit of love, you know.
uh-huh.
We had
Yeah, the other guy with the name who turned out to not be memorable.
I mean, Eric Lauer has been okay. This is the thing, right? Is like they are in a weird point right now in this rotation, and to remove another starter seems very, very difficult to do. Now um, there is some good news. Guys like Adam Mako are back from injury, and he's starting to stretch out again. Listen, Spencer Turnbull, like these guys are still a little ways away, unfortunately. So, despite the fact that the Blue Jays have done their best to increase the depth, it's not there. And so we are in this spot where you probably need to continue to run. Like in your
Oh
opinion,
yeah, I'm
you
not suggesting
you have to,
Bowden
right?
goes anywhere. Like, yeah, he's
Grounds crew, what do you think? Are you at the point where they need to start trying to do what they're doing with the fifth starter, with the fourth as well, and send Bowden down to try and get him right? Or is that not really an option? Would love to hear everyone's opinion on that. We're going to move
um
on. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the reason I'm like I think Francis might never be good again, is where I'm at. Like
I
I think it might be a Davis Schneider situation where he's
I
just
hope you're
been
wrong.
figured out and we gotta see. But it's
I really hope you're
I,
wrong. But
I hope
I'm
so
with
too. I'm
you.
not
I
rooting against the
no, of
guy.
course not.
But when I
I
look
didn't
at, I
mean it
mean,
that way.
you mentioned the last 12 games of last season, the ERA was like under 2.
hmm
And then the first 12 game, well, all 12 games, he's had 12 starts this year. And he's got an ERA of almost 6. And I'm just going through his game logs and I'm trying to find like when was his last good start? You know, like he
One
had
star to
one
go, right?
against, yeah, he had one, yes, against Texas, who has no offense. They have three of the best starting pitchers in baseball, which is why I think that whole series we scored
Four
four
runs.
runs
Yeah.
and against
Won the
Jacob
series.
DeGrom and Mole and like whatever. It's because they have no offense. So that makes sense for that. But then, like every other start, it's like, oh, well, only 2 earned runs, but okay, he only got through 4 innings, and then 4 earned runs, less than 5. Three, it's just like, oh my God, none of these starts are like really good almost all year. Like it started okay. I don't know. I think, I think the clock has struck midnight on him, and that's okay. Like, but it is a wake up call that like, oh yeah, the 30-year-old rookie isn't something to really bank on.
hmm No.
The low drafted 30-year-old rookie does work out sometimes. And it worked out for us for a while, but it's also like, okay, this is at a certain point you got to cut your losses
The big
and at
thing is
least
can he readjust? Like if he can't throw inside, he's probably done. You just can't
yeah,
eliminate half the plate, right? Anyways,
yeah.
we'll move on. This one is also from Patreon. Mike Knowles wrote in. It may seem like an innocuous incident, but Schneider's ejection at Yankee Stadium was very telling to me. That umpire was practically laughing at him as he unloaded, and he looked so weak. I'm not sure I can articulate it precisely, but there's something weak about this team. They flop the big occasions constantly, and savvy teams like the Rays, last year's Orioles, this year's Tigers, seem to eat us alive with what feels like mediocre players. I don't particularly like it, but this team probably needs a Josh Donaldson type, someone to get them on edge. When he told Dalton Pompey these were the get it done, this was the get it done league, I thought the comment was out of line. This team needs uh, this team needs painting on the wall of the clubhouse. They need a leader, a big personality, someone to drive it forward. And for me, Schneider, sorry, can't handle it. He looked out of his depth up against a stony umpire, and I wonder if he's just out of his depth generally. So, a lot to digest there. I think the best way to sum up what Mike is saying is this team still lacks an identity. And I know that this is one thing that Baseball Jen and I were talking about yesterday is that what does this team hang their hat on? Like, what is this team? And Adam, we don't really have answers to any of those questions.
Nope.
Are they incredible at pitching? They've had stints. They're also the 26th ERA for starting pitching in baseball right now. That's a big yikes. And I know a lot of that stems from Bowden Francis and that fifth spot in the rotation that you can put another question mark. Do they hang their hat on offense? They had, besides the Yankees, Dodgers, and Angels, the most home runs in baseball in May. But also, we're 30th in April. So, what is the identity? Do they have
Yeah.
an edge? Not really. Who's their big leader? We don't know. Can you have your leader be your 36-year-old starting pitcher on an expiring deal? Because I know Chris Bassett's full of leadership, but is he that guy? Or is he kind of at the point where he's like, I hope we win, but if not, I'm going to go elsewhere and make another $20 million next year?
Is Bassett our most tradable asset? Like we've seen year and year again where like the
It,
Mariners
I mean,
stand out to me.
Maybe Bo than Bassett.
Okay. Um, so we've seen teams like the Mariners, they stand out to me as having done this a few times, of being both sellers and buyers at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I'd love to see this team be.
Adam, this is such a great point, and this is something that Jen and I talked a little bit yesterday, that the deadline could be one of the most crazy, interesting things we've seen
Hmm.
from the Toronto Blue Jays in a long time, because there is a world where they move a bunch of guys on this 26-man roster, but are still bolstering for the playoffs,
Yeah.
which is a really tough thing to do. And I don't know if this front office has the skill set to pull that off. But there are guys on this team, and I'm thinking of Nathan Lucas, to a lesser extent, Addison Barger, Jonathan Clausse, Chris Bassett. I don't know where you could see these guys being traded for a guy you're going to plug right in. And I don't really have any examples. I know the one we were talking about last night was, what if Boston's out? What if Boston's doing everything they can to make sure that they have the funds to go full on after Kyle Tucker in the offseason and to clear a little bit of money up? I say little in a very sarcastic tone, by the way. They decide to move their disgruntled third baseman slash DH, right? So is there a world where, Addison Barger has been excellent He's probably got the most value he's ever had.
Mhm.
Maybe a Trey Savage, Addison Barger, Nathan Lukes for Rafi Devers. Again, I don't know how that would look, and I know it's interdivisional. I'm not really pushing the Devers narrative much, but
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is he is
something
a
like
guy
that.
who would make this team better. Like I don't want to move Barger and not get better. I don't want to move a top prospect and not get better, obviously. So but I do think that there's going to be an interesting and creative spin on this deadline. I don't know if we're going to like it. I don't know if it's going to work out. Again, I don't have much faith in this front office, but I think that we could see some stuff you wouldn't normally see at the deadline.
We'll see. This team's in a weird spot.
Man, they're in a weird spot.
They're
So,
yeah, I think they're too good to be sellers. They're
yeah,
not good enough to justify being buyers, and
that
I don't
that
know.
that middle is the worst area you can be in, man. And that's again like not to go back to the comment about this team's a 76 and 86 team and my response
That's
being like, well, that's a pretty positive take.
yeah.
That forces their hand and makes them do the decision either way, right? So,
Like there, it just makes me kind of sick to my. Not that I'm saying Addison Barger is the real deal. Although when I'm looking at a guy like Addison Barger versus Nathan Lucas, hold on. Um, when was Lucas drafted? He was drafted, oh, seventh round. Okay. I thought he was drafted later than that. Um, Barger, I think is fifth round or sixth round, 25-year-old rookie. He's got almost as many homers as Vladdy and half as many at bats.
mhm.
I mean, whatever. Home runs come in bunches. I get it. But point is, I think I'm sick to my stomach thinking about a 2026 season where Bo's gone and we're strutting out an infield of uh Ernie Clement, Andres Gimenez, and Davis Schneider at second.
Mhm.
Like, or we don't because we've moved on from the one of our best infield potential prospect. I don't know. Is Barger even an infielder? He's playing more outfield for us, it feels like. But anyways, all this to say, I don't know. I just the thought of getting rid of a bunch of assets for a push this year and then being totally barren for next year is just I don't know.
We're going
I
to
don't
see
feel
where
like
this
we're
team is at. I mean, this is the thing too is that is Ross Atkins finally on the hot seat? I mean,
you
so much
know.
speculation with this team. That's the thing that's kind of frustrating. And I think this is why there is a little bit of angst when it comes to this fan base getting fully on board, right? Is that
Mhm.
what are we watching here? Like, what is this? So I hope that they can kind of get it together and maybe they pull off a couple wins against the Phillies here in the end of this series and everything that we just talked about and all the concern we're having dissipates. But this team just seems to refuse to truly get on a run. 5 in a row is great, right? 5 in a row was great.
Indeed.
And we keep talking about do they have it in them to do 10 in a row? And they just haven't really shown that light at the end of the tunnel where that's a possibility. We'll see how it rolls. Moving along here. We were talking about the TSN turning point on
Yeah.
Friday. And Ian Elliott pipes up from Patreon and goes, LOL. I still reference the TSN turning point in my everyday life. We talked about how it was way back in the day. There used to be this thing. But yeah, no,
Mhm.
TSN turning point. Any sports fan in their late 30s and on remembers that vividly.
Mhm.
This one's from Trevor, also from Patreon. He goes, so our F War team leader is Ernie at 1.7. 33rd in MLB. Kirk is at 1.6, 43rd. Moreno with Arizona is 19th at 2.1. Cal Rowley is at 3.8 F4 already. I don't know what this says about our team. Does it say we are a well balanced 85 win pace team? Or does it say we are awash in mediocrity and will plague us later in the year? I actually think it's balance. It's a much better team than 2024. More weapons. Bo's F4 sucks because his D numbers are ass this season. Fourth percentile range. Vlad is 52nd in F4, which is really disappointing for what we pay for him, to be honest. He is paid to be elite. He has been very good, not elite. We are going to miss Wheeler this series, so that is a plus. Yes, Zach Wheeler is on the paternity list this series. So we do wind up missing Zach Wheeler, which is a great turn of events. Not that it really mattered. Um, the Blue Jays
Hmm.
still struggled yesterday. We'll see how they do the rest of the series here. Yeah, again, more questions, right? Is this a balanced lineup that's probably more likely an 85 win team, or is this just a real mediocre 500-ish team? I don't know. I don't know. Drop your comments below, grounds crew. If this is coming across negative, by the way, I really do want to be positive about this team. And there are flashes where I do get very excited about them and see the potential and the ceiling that this can have. We watched it with the A's, and I know the A's are a bad team, but there are flashes of this team being very good. And then you see nights like last night where it just like everything that could go wrong. Your fourth starter who's been struggles mightily and continues to give up dingers. You see no offense again until it's garbage time. You know, it
Yeah,
is it is what it is. All
it
right,
is what
going
it
to
is.
Twitter. This is from Stu Langille. I think I'm saying that right. I, I tend to just, as soon as there's a G in something, I always wind up pronouncing it French. So maybe it's Langle. Either way, Stu, thanks for writing in and apologies. I'm butchering your name right now. He goes, "Hey, Scott and Adam, love the podcast this year. You guys have great energy. Thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Jay's chat related. Do you see the strategy in the Gimenez trade? Or is Ross hedging his bets or if he gets fired? It's a huge deal for Cleveland. Rogers won't cover it, but it seems like the worst trade ever. And there's a few ways out of it. I don't know if it's the worst trade ever. And in fact, I would argue pretty heavily against it being the worst trade ever. And I know that I might be alone in this category, but I do think that at the end of this contract, we're going to shrug and go, yeah, it was fine. Is he going to have some frustrating moments at the plate where you're just like, this guy can't hit? Absolutely, he is. Is his defense elite? Yes, it is. Are we overpaying for a talent that was developed elsewhere instead of using the player development system within to give us gloves like Ernie? Yes, we are. The thing with Gimenez is that I feel like the writing's on the wall for Bo. So the fact that he is here for the next 4 years really, and Stu touched on it, it does hedge the bets a little bit and give us a stopgap between Bo Bichette and Arjun Namala. And it gives him plenty of runway too. So if Namala is ready next year, there is a safety blanket there. I don't think he will be ready next year, but we'll see how the development goes.
Um, would we? This is where I'm at on Andres Gimenez. Is the same spot I'm at with Dalton Varsho. Is, if you want a dog for Christmas and your mom and dad get you a cat, you don't blame the cat for being a cat, right? Like that, they're a cat. Love them as a cat. They're not a dog.
Yes.
If you got a dog the following Christmas, I hope you would still love your cat. I don't, this is a weird analogy. My point being, is his offensive numbers frustrating to look at? Absolutely. Would we care even an iota if Vladdy had 20 home runs, Santander had 17 home runs, Like, is this Andre's fault? Or is it just a reminder when like the offense does underwhelming across the board, top to bottom,
Hmm.
and then you've got Gimenez in. It's like, oh, another dead flat bat. Like it's just
No, I'm with you, man. They
man,
took
if
a
he's hitting 8 as a platinum glove infielder, but the rest of the lineup is great, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, it's fine. 1 through 6 is stacked, and then the bottom of the lineup is not good like it is for every good team
maybe you shouldn't take your cat and put them
in the
in the
dog
cleanup
park.
spot, and expect the cat to get things done. Right? This is a great analogy. All of our analogies, they're always so point on and never
This is
muddy at all. Uh,
uh,
but it is true though, right? If you order a ham sandwich and then at the end of the day you're like, "Man, that ham sandwich, buddy, there is so much bread." And you're like, well,
yeah,
you ordered a sandwich.
yeah. Yeah, it's so I don't know. I have a hard time, trading for a guy who's never really been an offensive juggernaut and then being like, this guy sucks at offense.
Like, is he going to be overpaid by the end of his contract for sure? I think the last 2 years are 23 million. I think it's 17, and I think this year's 10 or something like that. I'm literally going off memory, so I could be
Right.
slightly off there. I know he has about 100 million left on his contract or whatever that is. So, yeah, it's an expensive glove first guy. Is he going to do everything we ask of him in the field? Absolutely. Is he great on the base path? Yes. Is he going to steal 30 plus bases every year he plays with this team? Absolutely, he will. Can we sit there and expect him to play the cleanup position in the batting lineup and hit 30 dingers? No. And why would they put him there? I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, there wasn't a lot of options, but whose fault is that? Ross, we're looking your way.
Um, Andres Gimenez career high season total home runs 17.
Hmm. Blue Jays
Next
cleanup
highest
hitter.
15. Like, yeah, like this is not a guy who hit 31 home runs a year ago and you're like, "Oh, we got, you know, fooled into this is fool's gold." Like
Yeah.
they we bought in on a 2019 juice ball season and got tricked. Like that feels like what happened with Matt Chapman a little bit. Like
Hmm.
Matt Chapman had a 31 home run season in Oakland. Like there was a little bit of a glimmer of like, well, elite defender, and if he
Oh, and
can refine that power stroke, like how many
we
times did we say that during the Matt Chapman era? And I love Chapman. Of course, we still had
we
him.
couldn't wait to push the narrative of he's leaving a pitcher friendly park to come to the bandbox that is the Rogers Center,
Yeah,
which winds up not so much a bandbox anymore, but yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Jimenez, uh, he's younger than Bo Bichette, and he has 3 Gold Gloves already.
Hmm.
If he stays healthy the rest of the year, probably win a fourth. Like I just that's
I
what he
think he's a
is. Like he's a
great
glove first
piece.
guy.
He's a great piece in the 8 or the 9 hole. He really
Yeah,
is. Is he
totally.
overpaid? Sure. But again, they traded Spencer Horwitz for him. Like I'm not
Yeah,
by the way, I'm not crapping on Horwitz either, but I mean, they did get a fairly major piece for a redundant piece in this lineup.
yeah. Like
Grounds crew, drop your comments. Where are you at on Andre Gimenez? Who of you are pulling your hair out being like this is the worst trade ever, and who of you kind of are like, you know what? It's also June of the like it's
can
two
I
months into his Blue Jays tenure, right?
can I put something into perspective here?
Please.
I'm looking at the Dodgers lineup. Okay, I'm just sorted by at bats. So Shohei Ohtani, most at bats, 236, 23 home runs. And you go down the list. I'm looking at Michael Conforto, left fielder for the Dodgers, is seventh on the team in at bats. That doesn't mean he's the seventh, always the seventh guy, rotations, whatever, right? But he has 3 home runs and a 168 batting average. Are Dodgers fans panicking and miserable with Michael Conforto? Or do they not fucking care because there's
A lineup of future Hall of Famers hitting before him.
so Vladdy leads the Jays with 8 home runs right now?
Yeah.
That would make him seventh on the Dodgers. Tied with Mookie Betts, behind Max Muncy with 9, Freeman with 9, Edman with 9, Teoscar with 10, Andy Page is 11, Shohei Ohtani 23. So this is my point, is it's not Gimenez's fault that he's Andres Gimenez. Like, relax.
Yeah.
And like you said, we traded Horowitz for him. We didn't trade I don't know. I just yeah.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Like it's so much less of a pill to swallow than the Dalton Varsho trade, for crying out loud.
And I love
Right?
Varsho.
Like, and I love Varsho too, but also like Varsho's the same kind of situation of like, yeah,
Love
he's never
Vars.
gonna be an elite power hitter. Like it's just he's gonna run into a few on accident. They come in bunches, but
I'll
it's
push
like,
back a
but we paid
little
a
there.
much bigger price for Varsho.
A huge price for Varsho, and the value of Gabriel Moreno at the time is the only reason why anyone should still be upset about that trade. Is it's not what Varsho has provided that should upset you. It's that they traded a guy with an incredible amount of value that probably could have
Mm-hmm.
brought in a bigger piece. And I will push back a little. I do think that Dalton Varsho does have it within him to be a 30 home run guy. I don't know if it's perennial, but will we see him hit 30 at
Sure.
some point? I don't. I do think it's possible. I do think
Okay.
that that is
That's
within
fair.
him. And we'll move on. This is from Meredith. DM'd us. She goes, hey guys, love the podcast. My husband listens to you guys and got me hooked. I'm loving Addison Barger so much. I
Nice.
think he's the real deal. Do you guys see him as the long term third baseman for this Blue Jays team?
Okay, sorry. First of all, what player are we talking about? I zoned out because I was thinking about The Office. So then I heard Meredith. By the way,
Addison
Meredith, thanks for
Barger.
tuning in. Addison Barger. Okay. Is he a real deal?
Is he the long term solution at third base for this team? A little early
I
to say.
I have a complicated answer to that. So how do you feel about that?
People are going to hate this answer.
I love it. Give it to me.
I I think there's nobody on this team that has increased their trade value in the last 6 months than Addison Barger. And if you can get a piece that makes this team better, I think he's the guy you got to move. That said, Addison Barger has been incredible. His arm is elite. It is a freaking cannon. He has not looked overmatched at the hot corner. In fact, I have been
Hmm.
quite impressed with his defense at third
Hmm.
base. He does provide some real legitimate pop in a spot in this batting lineup that they haven't had that for a while, right? He's hitting fifth, and it is such a nice breath of fresh air to have a little bit of protection behind George Springer, who has been incredible, tied with the league or with the lead for the team in home runs with Vladdy and
Hmm.
Varsho, right? So, all in all, I need to see more out of Addison Barger before I straight up say yes, lock him in. He's the long term third base solution for the Toronto Blue Jays. In fact, I lean a little bit more towards the side of you're never going to have more value than you do right now for Addison Barger. And also, I know shit all and definitely could wind up eating my words. And I would be just fine with it if Addison Barger turns out what we've seen out of him over the last 3 weeks. If it's legit, if that is the real Addison Barger, and we have a 30 home run guy who plays a pretty darn good third base with a cannon, hell yeah. But to bet on it at this point in his career, Risky business, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, risk for sure. I think, is he our long-term solution at third? I would say not sure. I would say barring a trade, because I do agree with you, he has the most value he might ever have. And that's not to say that his talent is going to go down, but just like he's got a maximum control as well right
Yeah.
now, right? So
Yeah.
every year that goes by, the value goes down in that regard, and I'm not sure the production increases enough to offset the
Yeah, like
lack
he
of
he is
years
a
of
year and a
control.
half away from even arbitration at this point, right?
Correct.
Like he's
So
5 years from free agency.
this is a guy who's a competent with upside playing for league minimum,
Yeah.
right? Like that's where incredible value in that regard. Um, so I don't know if he's a our third baseman long term. I would say, barring a trade, he is the guy I have the most confidence to like of our 25th, 26th man, the Nathan Lucases, the
Yep.
Ernie Clements, the Alan Rodens. He is the guy that I feel like has the best shot at being an everyday player, but maybe it's in right field 5 years from now of any of those guys. I'm not sure any of them are even playing baseball
Hmm.
in 5 years. And I think Addison Barger is the top of that list. Now, how does that affect the Bo situation? How does Bo's situation affect Barger? I do feel like with the question mark of Bo, and we talked to Gimenez, that pushes me to lean towards not getting rid of Barger this deadline.
Hmm.
I feel like if Bo was locked up, if Bo was locked up for a 3 year bridge deal, right? Oh, okay, we're gonna do something medium weight money, get him till he's 30 or whatever. I'd feel better about like, okay, let's get rid of Barger and let's go get a number one pitcher. Like Barger plus package, and let's go chips all in. Let's make a real playoff push. Let's go get like some rental pieces to put us over the top this year. Because it isn't just enough to get to the playoffs. That we need to aim higher than that, right? Like,
Couldn't agree more.
and that's where we're back and forth on this team, right? It's like, who is this team? What are we? We could totally be a playoff team, but I don't think we're a contender.
And this is another thing that when I was listing players that we could see moved at the deadline to bolster the team this year for the playoffs, Bo Bichette is on that list. Like
Yeah.
I could see a scenario where another contender deep in pitching moves a pitcher for Bo Bichette. The Blue Jays bolster that starting rotation. You move Gimenez over to shortstop. Second base is all of a sudden Addison Barger and Ernie
Mm-hmm.
Clement and however it shapes out, I mean, the offense is still so hot and cold. I'm having a really hard time with the idea of giving up Bo, but I do think that that's the sort of weird, creative, or disastrous. I don't know. However, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know how the front office operates this, navigates this, right? But it's not impossible at all. All right, we got to keep moving here. We've got to wrap up here pretty quick,
Yeah.
so we're gonna go to YouTube and go to Mark Ryan, who says the front office is listening to you guys. Santander to the IL and Roden to the active roster. Yeah, we were talking about that on one of our previous podcasts, and then literally it happened that afternoon. And both Adam and I were like, oh, great. People are going to watch this, and the comments are going to be like, you idiots, it already happened. And it was nice that the comments were the other way around, that they were like, hey, you guys
You guys are on the
are
ball
you
here.
actually you got one. This one is from Boom Must Die. Aralvis likely wasn't using PEDs for the previous seasons. He's likely been tested close to 20 times, and minor league testing is more thorough. He has been better in May, faded a little lately, but on the whole, he doesn't deserve a call up. His defense seems to have improved. At the time of the suspension, I thought maybe the silver lining would be he would go down to the complex and work hard to improve his defense. I would also like to point out that Barger and Gimenez likely got more at bats because of the Martinez suspension. Barger looks pretty good right now. Gimenez would, and he's talking Leo here, by the way.
Mhm.
Leo Gimenez would have likely been in Stefanic's shoes if he wasn't now working his way back from missing the last 6 weeks. Gimenez proved he can handle MLB last year, and Aralvis was last year when Aralvis was suspended. I don't really have anything to add to that, except it's kind of well
Yeah.
put. I agree. This comes from us talking about Aralvis Martinez probably doesn't deserve a call up, and that we would prefer to see, especially after cheating and cheating the team and cheating his teammates. He kind of has to force the issue, in my opinion. He needs to earn a call up. His hype and his prospect luster, put it aside, right? Like, let's see him burn up AAA pitching and hit bombs with the Bisons. And once he pushes the issue, then maybe we consider a call up. That's my opinion. Grounds crew, go ahead and drop your comments below. What do you think about Aralvis Martinez and when he should be called up? Finally, this is from SCRA and then a bunch of other letters, but we're not going to get into that. He goes, when Encarnacion came here, he wasn't very good, and look at what he turned into. Have patience with Santander. Absolutely. And Santander has far more of a track record here than Edwin ever did when they acquired him from the Cincinnati Reds. Some of you might remember, like Troy Gloss was traded to the Reds, and Encarnacion was literally a throw-in because they needed someone to man the hot corner. Zach Stewart was the big prospect that they were moving Gloss for, who never really panned out. So, yeah, a little bit different scenario here, but I'm with you. Santander will get it going. I honestly have no doubt. Um, Hopefully he comes back healthy and feeling good and can be that big middle of the order bat we desperately need.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much, everybody, for following along. Really appreciate it. Baseball Town coming up next Thursday, June 12th. We have Daniele Franceschi from the Fan 590, Shoa Lee, friend of the show, and Jay's Talk host, as well as Sportsnet producer. And then, as if that's not enough, rounding out the panel, longtime friend of the show and longtime friend with Baseball Town, Adam Peddle of Blue Jays Today. We've
Nice.
got Lizzie McGuire as our guest. We're doing a little hot or not commentary. She's got a whole segment planned with where she
Nice.
ranks the looks of the boys on the team. So
Lovely.
that'll be interesting to see.
Amazing.
Again, link in the description. Thanks so much for following along, everybody. Cheers.